This is a quick start video for the CSR8670 development board and the software development kit. When you order the development board, it'll come with all of these bits and pieces. This is the main CSR8670 development board with the 8670 chip. This is the programmer interface board. This is an expansion board for the audio, different audio options, and bringing out some of the PIO. These are the Cat Touch IOs. We have the audio jacks here on the left, and the connector where the programming board connects to. You'll get a pair of Sennheiser over-the-ear headphones with a separate microphone and separate speaker connectors, a 2.4 gigahertz antenna that plugs in top, a micro USB cable, a traditional old school USB type A and type B cable, an Ethernet, and the programmer board, which we call the SPI to USB or USB to SPI programmer board. And in a bit here, I'll show you how to connect everything up. I have wired everything up to the board. The main interface board connects here to the right hand side with the Ethernet. Goes to the USB to SPI programmer onto the blue USB cable that came with the kit. We are not going to be using the audio expansion board, so I'll set that aside. And for the headset, you'll need to connect the green output to the speakers to the stereo out jack here located on the bottom, and the pink cable is the microphone input. You need to plug it to the left microphone input, which is this headset jack here. For the configurations of the programmer board, you need to pay attention to make sure that the on-off switch is set to on, and the hold switch is actually pulled towards you here, so not on hold, away from these two switches away from each other for this example. Make sure your jumpers are set accordingly. The jumpers for the microphone need to be set to the top to bottom here. The top two selects the microphone. If you remove the jumpers and put them down here, it'll select it as a line input. For the headset example in ADK 4.0, these are the configurations and jumper settings that we will use for the demo. So I plugged in the power cord to my laptop and into the 8670 board, and you will notice no LEDs come on and the board does not function, and that is because the board does not come with any software installed already. What we will need to do is download the software development kit, or the ADK audio development kit, from the CSR website, and install the latest version, compile the headset example code, download into the board, and then configure the PS keys to this particular board setting and enable the CVC audio codec so the audio for a hands-free call can pass through. So do not be alarmed when you power up your board and no lights come on, because these boards are blank. We will need to compile the application and download to the board. So I have already downloaded the ADK 4.0 from the CSR website, and it's a small zip file. You just need to extract it, double click on installation, and go ahead and follow the procedures here on the screen. There are also add-on codecs and decoders for the MP3, AAC, and aptX. I did not go ahead and install those because those installations will take longer, but I'm just installing the regular ADK 4.0. The installation will install a Blue Lab SDK and the audio ADK. So here I just finished the Blue Lab setup, and then I continued on with the ADK installation, which will compile the DSP libraries and the VM libraries. Now, Also in the background you'll see the ADK 4.0 Sync Application Starter Guide, in which you can follow step by step, which is a little bit more detailed than what this video will show, but this is basically a quick start video on how to get a headset application running on your 8670 development board, which does not come programmed with any application already. So uh, what this installation will do will compile the DSP libraries and VM libraries. Again, this is probably the largest or longest part of the installation, so I won't bore you by watching my computer and how slow or how fast it is on compiling the libraries. But we'll go ahead and start with the installation. So after we install it, I go to my start menu, and in programs there's the ADK 4.0. Now the first thing we need to do before we do anything is actually launch PS Tools, and it's under the Tools menu, and make sure that you select SPI, BCCMD, and the USB to SPI transport. And what you want to make note of first is your default Bluetooth address that is pre-programmed on your board, and you will want to write this down in case you write over it or you need to write over it. At least you have that default value. The next important value that we need to write down is the trim offset for the crystal. And I accidentally deleted mine, so mine is 0, but you should have a value of like minus 29 or 16 or something of that nature, because every board comes pre-programmed. Now we need to actually program the default PS keys for the particular 8670 chip. So by doing that, we go to File, Merge, and from the Start menu, from the File Explorer, it's under your C drive, ADK 4.0, Apps, Sync, Configurations, and here's a list of PSR files. And so we need to load the Sync System Csr8670 because that's the chip that we're using for our development board. So you click Open and you will merge the file, and you'll see it merge, and then we'll need to do a reset and close. So now your chip is programmed with the default PS keys for that particular chip. Now we can launch the ADK 4.0 IDE. So once we launch it, we can then open up the headset application that's in the 4.0 ADK. There has been some changes from the 3.5 and the 3.0, so things may look a little bit different here. So we go to my computer, under the C drive, ADK 4.0, Apps, Sync, and now we have 3 different projects. Before there was only one. So we'll select the headset version, and you can see it opens up the project with all the source code and libraries here on the left-hand side. And then the easiest thing that we need to do is select to make sure the ADK is using the correct USB to SPI device programmer. So by going to Debug, Transport, here I already have selected my USB to SPI programmer. The next easy step is to just build the active project. The project is already a working example that CSR has done, and it works fine. And you can see the project being compiled here. Now, there was a message that just scrolled up very quickly, and that stated that the CVC license was not is needed in order for audio to pass through during a headset call, which is the SCO connection. We'll talk about that here in a bit, but you'll see that message pop up again here. But we can see my computer here is compiling the code, building libraries, and it should be finished here any minute here. Any minute now. We should be done. There we go. We're finished. So once we compile the code, we now need to download it to the development board. And you can do that by just simply clicking Debug and Run. And you'll see there's that CVC message again. License key must be used for SCO. Again, we'll go through that last step, and that is needed when you actually are placing a headset call through your phone. If you don't have that license key, then you will not be able to hear any audio at all. You'll still be able to pair and connect with your phone and actually play music and listen to music from your phone, but when you place an audio call, you will not hear any audio without that license. So here we are. Um, the, we are burning the image to the flash on the 8670. It takes a little bit here. We are loading up the debug information, but we're not actually going to use the debugger. So we're just using this to download the code to the chip. So here we are. The debugger's already started. You can see the where it stopped here. What we're actually going to do is go to the debugger and stop debugging. You may see an LED, a green LED or blue LED on your board by now. So what we'll do is that we'll close or set aside the IDE, and I want to show you an application note that talks about the CVC license. So if you go to your C drive, ADK 4.0, and under docs and support, there are ADK docs and support again, and we look at Csr8670 application note. And this talks about how to enable the CVC codec for the headset example. And what we'll need to do is make note of 5 Bluetooth addresses. So it's a good thing we make, in the beginning we took note of your default Bluetooth address, because you'll need to override it with one of these 5 addresses here. And then we'll also need to type in the CVC license key that are associated with these Bluetooth addresses so that we can enable the audio for the hands-free call. And what we're going to use, the headset application for default uses one microphone. We only have one microphone in the Sennheiser headset that we have in our kit. And then here on the next page it shows you to use the configuration tool on selecting which audio plugin. But it looks a little bit different in 4.0, and the configuration tool is in the installation here in ADK 4.0 and under tools, and we'll have the sync configuration tool that we'll launch. Now, it is highly recommended the first time you're doing this is to load an existing configuration file for this particular dead board, so we'll select yes. And remember the PSR file that we did in the beginning with PS Tool? Well, there is another PSR file that we need to load, and it is the headset gaming CNS10001B4. This is the PCB or dev board design that you have on your in your kit. So after selecting that PSR file, we need to select the device that we're going to program with, use the USB to SPI with the serial number, and here we double check in the audio section that we are going to choose a CVC headset with one microphone. Then we will write to the device. We are now loading the application PS keys to the dev board, and then we're going to go ahead and reset the device. After we reset the device, we can go ahead and close this tool, and we will have one more step. We need to go back and load that Bluetooth address and the license key from that document. So we need to go back and launch PS Tool, and remember the Bluetooth address? Well, we need to change that address to one of the 5 addresses that's in that application note that I just showed you. So here's the application note. Here are the 5 Bluetooth addresses that are associated with the license keys, and just go ahead and select one of these 5. I'm just going to go ahead and program the 00FF04 address, and I'll click set to write that Bluetooth address, and then I'll read it back to make sure it was completely written. Now, the other license key is actually hidden. What we need to do is to change the view. We need to go to view, and we need to highlight programmer IDs. This is just the easier way to search for the PS key _ DSP48, and that's where we need to load the CVC key. So by changing the view to programmer IDs, and we just type in DSP48, we then have the filter to find that particular key. Now you notice there's not an entry present, so we need to go ahead and enter that that license key in there. So I just copy and pasted from the PDF document the license key for the one microphone CVC headset application. Remember, we selected the CVC headset one mic from the configuration tool, so we need to load the appropriate license key. So we'll click set. It'll warn you that the value does not match the target for the data link. That's fine. Just go ahead and click right over for yes. And we're going to go ahead and reset the board. Now you should have a blinking LED or glowing and so forth, and you should be able now to launch the demo. So after using PS Tool and setting the CVC license and the Bluetooth address in the previous step, you should have a steady blue light on your development board. This is ready for the application to start. Just for this video, I've connected the output of the headset to a pair of a Bluetooth speaker here, which we're not using Bluetooth, but it's just wired to the audio jack here, so you can hear the audio. And we have a 6 buttons array here. There is the VReg button for this application, which is used to power on the application and also put into pairing mode. So what we can do is I'll get my Android phone ready, and I'll go straight to the Bluetooth menu, and I'll continue to scan, and then I will hold down VReg until I hear power on and let go.
Power on.
So now you see the LEDs alternate blink from blue to green. This is the pairing mode, and since this application has not been paired previously to any other phone, that it'll automatically go into pairing mode from power up. So I will go to, here's my Android phone, and it has actually already found the 8670 stereo gaming headset. I will select it, and it's
pairing successful. Headset is connected.
And the British guy told me just how successful my pairing was with my phone, and I will allow my contacts to be shared. And so now I'm paired with a headset. So you should get a blue light that blinks intermittently, and I can do a test here. I will first start off by streaming music from my Pandora account. So this is the A2DP music playing now with the headset demo. But what I will do is I'll pause, and I'll actually place a phone call to, let me go ahead and place a phone call to my other phone, which is not enabled right now. And we should be able to hear at least my voicemail.
Please leave your message for
Alan Cabrera.
All right. So now I just proved that we can stream music from the Android phone via Bluetooth to the Csr8670 development kit. Both music and place a hands-free call with the ADK 4.0.